Greetings, Sentinels fans! I think it's time to do another one of these, but this time for a character that I haven't really talked about all that much before. Let's go over the changes for Bunker, from Enhanced Edition to Definitive Edition. So I never really talked much about Bunker's game mechanics. Well, there's kinda a reason for that. Enhanced Edition Bunker is kind of uninteresting. I probably would have made a Let's Talk About video for Bunker if Definitive Edition didn't show up. But now we have a good before and after for this, so let's use it. When you look at Bunker, you see a big mechanized tank. So of course, you will think lots of shielding, lots of firepower, but a bit slow to move. Additionally, we will note the special functions of the machine. Let's start on defense. EE Bunker has heavy plating for damage reduction and a maintenance unit for self-healing. The armor is a blanket damage reduction, which is nice, but not exactly uncommon. And the healing is only 2 points for the price of a power use, which isn't great. Personally, if I'm gonna have to put a concerted effort for healing, I'd like it to be enough to backtrack the efforts of more than one villain turn. Putting in effort to break even is not my idea of fun. There's also a damage reduction of 1 with recharge mode, allowing for a possible damage reduction of 2, but I will go into more detail on this card later. So how has defense changed for Definitive Edition? Well, I think this is one area where I think Definitive Edition backslid. Both forms of blanket damage reduction are gone, and so is the maintenance unit, replaced by the new energy shielding. This card gives Bunker a reaction where he can reduce damage dealt to him once by 2. And if he still takes damage from that instance, he heals 2 and loses the shield. Now he can only use this reaction once per turn, so you are SOL for subsequent attacks, but it can help keep the suit functional. It just seems weird that they made the tank character less tanky. They took 3 defense cards, 2 of which give permanent defense, and replaced them with 1 card that gives repeatable temporary defense and 1-off healing. Not to mention you need to get a new one when you get that healing. So a downgrade with defense. Let's look at offense. And here I do see improvement. In Enhanced Edition, Bunker has access to a few weapons. The flak cannon lets him use a power to deal 1 bad guy 3 damage. The grenade launcher lets him deal 3 targets, 2 damage, and 1 damage respectively, though he can't skip any of these instances. His Gatling gun activates automatically at the start of his turn, shooting a dude for 2 damage, but requiring a reload at the end of his turn by discarding a card. We get the Omni Cannon, of course, which needs to be loaded by stocking cards under it. You can do that at the start of Bunker's turns, allowing you to put up to 3 cards from your hand under the cannon. When you are ready to atomize somebody, spend the power, destroy all the cards, then deal that much damage to 1 target times 2. Bunker also has a card where he can vent the suit's heat and set all the bad guys on fire with a card play. You deal yourself 2 damage and deal all the baddies 3. Now, by themselves, there isn't much wrong with these attacks. I'd say there's nothing really wrong with them. But when you compare them to the other Enhanced Edition heroes, things start looking weird. I mean, compared to Enhanced Edition Wraith, and you see some issues. The flak cannon dealing the same amount of damage as what is essentially a shuriken fired from a crossbow, or less, considering Wraith also has the targeting computer. Same deal with the grenade launcher and Wraith throwing knives. I will say that the Omni Cannon is a lot of fun though. Well, how did things change for Definitive Edition? Well, here is the biggest overhaul of the deck. Each of the guns now has the Ordnance keyword. Ordnance each have an effect at the start of Bunker's turn where he puts the top card of his deck under that Ordnance, essentially acting as ammo for that gun. He also has other methods of getting extra cards loaded up, and all of these weapons can spend more than 1 ammo. Our flak cannon still deals 3 damage, but now it can destroy 2 ammo cards under it, so it can fire twice. Not only does this get more damage on the field, but it also gives you more options of how to mess with that damage. You can deal it to multiple targets, or focus fire on the same guy. If you have blanket damage boosts on the field, then you're getting significantly more damage down. Conversely, damage reduction from the bad guys will be more effective as well. Well, it's a good thing we now have the new shoulder-mounted armor piercer gun. This one has to consume 2 cards, but it hits 1 target for 6 irreducible damage. Perfect for blowing those gene-bound guards to Kingdom Come. The new grenade launcher can consume either 1 or 2 cards. Consume 1 and you deal 3 targets 2 fire damage. Consume 2 and you do this a second time. It is worth noting that most cards like this will say to deal up to that many targets that damage. The grenade launcher, however, requires 3 targets to be hit. So if you're playing a game with few to no additional targets, you might end up doing some friendly fire. Absolute Zero might like it, Fnatic might like it, Raw might not care, but other heroes might glare at you. The Gatling gun is still loaded like the rest, but it doesn't use a power to unload. Instead, at the end of Bunker's turn, you can choose to destroy up to 3 cards under the gun and deal 1 target 1 projectile damage for each instance. Good for the occasional burst, or if you were just a few points off from destroying something that needs exploding. And of course, we have the Omni Cannon, which doesn't load quite as fast as the Enhanced Edition one does, but it is still just as satisfying to use. Works the same as EE, but it has the new loading mechanism of the Ordnance. You will note that since a lot of these Ordnance can consume 2 cards, you may end up having 2 of them out and simply alternate between them. Fire the Flak Cannon on one turn, then use the AP gun on the next, and then use the Flak Cannon again on your third. This system allows for much more interesting uses for your cards. Instead of just play a card and use a power, now you have to delay the use of some guns in order to get the most effect out of them. And switch them off in order to get, your action economy and still going. It's much more dynamic. We have also removed the fire explosion and got a new piston punch, dealing 3 damage to 1 guy. If this happens to destroy the target, this card is placed under an ordnance, serving as immediate ammo. We all know that as soon as you get into a suit of armor, you want to hit something with it. So I am kind of glad that this card is there, even though it might be a bit of a downgrade from the fire explosion card. But what specialty functions do we have? Well, for Enhanced Edition, we pretty much just have the Adhesive Foam Grenade, the Auxiliary Power Unit, the Ammo Drop, and the modes. The Foam Grenade is easy. In Enhanced Edition, you play it, the environment can't play cards that round. In Definitive Edition, you play it, it stays in play because it's now an ongoing card, environment can't play cards, card destroys itself on your next turn. Simple and easy. Ammo Drop lets Bunker draw a card every time a villain target is destroyed. Useful for loading an Omni Cannon in fights with a lot of small fry. Definitive Edition replaces that with LiDAR Intel, allowing a card draw every time a villain target is played. This basically accomplishes the same thing with minor differences, but nothing too earth-shattering. LiDAR Intel also gives Bunker a new power where you can peek at the top card of a deck and then draw a card. So a bit more useful. The backup battery in Enhanced Edition has a power that allows Bunker to draw 3 cards before destroying the battery. It isn't great that you use both a card play and a power use to get that effect, but if you're hurting for cards or desperately trying to find a weapon, then it works. Definitive Edition's Expendable Power Bank allows you to put the top card of your deck under an ordnance at the end of your turn, essentially speeding up your ammo acquisition for one weapon. You can also blow up this card during your play phase to put a card under an ordnance, and also put this card under one as well, if you need to quickly shove 1 or 2 cards under an ordnance before using a power. Say you need your Armor Piercer to kill Citizen Truth like the bastard that he is, but you only have 1 card under your ordnance. You can sacrifice your battery to power it up. Before we hit the modes, DE has a nice addition. Tactical Command can allow another player to use a power. If you are short on useful moves with your card play, maybe someone else can use a power instead. Also, any damage dealt by that power is made irreducible, so punching through shields is also nice. So, the modes. TLDR, they suck in Enhanced Edition, but are much improved in Definitive Edition. There are 3 each for both editions: Upgrade, Turret, and Recharge. Upgrade is the biggest glow up. As an Enhanced Edition, I consider it to be utterly useless. If I am playing an Enhanced Edition game and Upgrade mode hits the table, it's usually because I dropped my cards. It allows you to play an extra card during your play phase, but you can't use powers while it's in play. On the turn you play it, you can only play 1 other card. You can play 2 on your next turn if you choose not to destroy it at the start of your next turn, but you still lose your power uses. So if you want to actually gain benefits from this card, you have to use it in multiple rounds. And I don't think Bunker has enough cards that are worth playing in a rush. Just a lot of equipment for setting up. Definitive Edition's Upgrade mode is now one of my favorite cards to get on turn 1. It allows Bunker to summon an item of his choice. Already great so you can quickly get the weapons that you need for your situation. But at the end of your turn, after you draw, it allows you to play 2 cards, setting up further. This card by itself can pretty much get you ready for action on turn 1. It still prevents a power use, so you can't fire your new toys just yet though. It does destroy itself at the start of your next turn, so you only get the 1 turn of the benefit. And there is the biggest difference between the 2 editions. Instead of the expectation of using the modes for multiple turns, Definitive Edition bumps up the effectiveness of these modes to make them useful for that one turn and then throwing them away. Also, since they are only useful on Bunker's turn and blow up at the start of the turn, they also become good fodder for ongoing destruction. Instead of losing something that you care about, just have the villain blow this up. Moving on, we have Recharge Mode. Enhanced Edition's Recharge Mode prevents the playing of cards and using of powers in exchange for drawing an extra card, and for a damage reduction of 1. So on the first turn you get 2 cards because you played the mode, but on the second turn you draw 3 cards. 1 as normal, 1 from not playing cards or using powers, and 1 for the Recharge Mode bonus. This makes it ideal for turtling up with the heavy armor and powering up your Omnicannon. The Recharge Mode in Definitive Edition does not stop you from playing cards, though it does still prevent power uses, but it also doesn't give that extra defense. Again, why make the tank less tanky? But it gives you some lovely card draw. During your draw phase, you draw 4 extra cards. Yes, 5 cards in one turn. What's more, at the end of your turn, after drawing, you can take as many cards as you like from your hand and put them under as many of your ordnance as you like. This is great for getting your Omnicannon all charged up and ready for big boom. And finally, there is Turret Mode. Enhanced Edition's turret increases the damage of all of Bunker's attacks and lets him use an additional power on his turn. The drawback though is that Bunker can't play cards or draw cards. So extra damage and more shooting is nice, but if you keep this in play, you are guaranteeing that you're going to be stuck doing the same thing over and over. Black Cannon, Grenade Launcher, wait for next turn. Rinse and repeat. And if you're feeding the Gatling Gun or charging the Omnicannon, you're going to run out of cards quickly if you plan on doing anything else later. Definitive Edition's turret mode has you get an extra point of damage for each attack, just like before. And this one lets you use 2 extra powers on that turn, and it doesn't prevent card plays or card draws. It is great for bursting out so much mayhem in one sitting. Got a bunch of guns out? Well, get to firing them. 3 powers in one turn is pretty nice. And the +1 is a blanket boost, so you will get some good use out of the Gatling Gun too, as 3 instances of damage each get that nice +1. This mode is perfect for turning the bad guys into Swiss cheese. Now normally I would leave off and go to the variants, but there are some niche weaknesses of this new deck. The ordnance take cards directly from your deck when they load. And of course, the more ordnance you have, the more cards get eaten up by the guns each turn. This means that if you're looking for particular stuff, the guns can make that harder for you. Use the guns, and the cards that you used for ammo go right into your trash, making things difficult to get back. Now Upgrade Mode has a summon, and the first appearance variant has a salvage, but they are both for item cards. So if you want a mode or LiDAR intel or a one-shot, you will have to blow through the rest of your deck and hope you get what you need. It's also worth noting that there is only 1 copy of the Omnicannon in your deck, so if it gets stuck under a gun, you might not get to use it. But anyways, variant time. So far, Definitive only has 3 bunker variants, and only one of them is analogous to Enhanced Edition's 5 bunker variants, the original. Enhanced Edition's base bunker only drew a card, while Definitive Editions can do that or place a card from his deck under an ordnance. Kickstart a load. Now I'm not going to talk more about Enhanced Edition because I already did that in this video here, but I can quickly roll out the definitive ones so far. First appearance allows you to either punch a dude for 2 damage or salvage an item. Useful for getting ordnance back that have either blown up or been used as ammo. Stealth Suit Bunker is nuts. This one can collect an ongoing card and then play one. It's not a summon, it only takes from the deck and can play any from the hand, but the trash is off limits. This is good for grabbing any modes you please, including Upgrade Mode for easy weapon summoning, and you can easily grab those otherwise difficult to grab ongoing cards. So overall, I'd say the new bunker is a massive improvement, but not entirely across the board. The lessening of the defense is baffling to me flavor-wise, and the ordnance system, while more effective and feels much more fun to play with, can cause a little frustration if it loads cards that you want. I hope this was interesting to you guys. Take care, friends. It's kind of funny. I move all the pillows out of the way so that they're not in the shot. So I just have a mess of pillows right off screen. Damage. That's how I wrote it in my thing. Damage. Now Upgrade Mode has a summon, and the first appearance blah 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 blah.